one of the greatest to ever step on an NBA court. A three-time champion, three-time MVP, and the heart of the Boston Celtics dynasty. Bird wasn't just a superstar, he was a fierce competitor who demanded respect. And any player bold enough to test him quickly learned why they called him the Hick from French Lick today. We're looking at 6 unforgettable moments when players disrespected Larry Bird and instantly regretted it. Let's start with Xavier McDaniel, known as X-Man. McDaniel was as tough and fearless as they came in the rough-and-tumble 1980s NBA. He never backed down from anyone. But in one heated matchup between the Seattle Supersonics and Boston Celtics, he made the mistake of challenging Bird directly. During a timeout, McDaniel crowded Bird, towering over him, and said, "I've got you locked down, Larry. You're not scoring today." It was bold trash talk, but also a dangerous miscalculation. Because if there was one thing you didn't do, it was poke the bear named Larry Bird. When play resumed, Bird stepped back onto the court like a man with a mission. On the very next possession, he demanded the ball, gave McDaniel a quick look, and buried a smooth fadeaway jumper right in his face. The Celtics bench erupted, while Bird jogged back on defense, whispering something to McDaniel only he could hear. After shot, Larry Bird went right at Xavier McDaniel. Using his trademark footwork, high-arching jumpers, and ice-cold composure, he shredded every defensive trick McDaniel tried. By the final buzzer, Bird had poured in 38 points and completely dismantled the X-Man's confidence. And as if the scoring barrage wasn't enough, Bird sealed it with his legendary trash talk. With the clock winding down, he reportedly turned to McDaniel and said, "You couldn't lock me down if I was in a cell." That one-liner stuck with McDaniel long after the game, a brutal reminder that testing Larry Bird was a mistake you only made once. But McDaniel wasn't the only one to feel the sting of Bird's wrath. Enter Bill Laimbeer, the master of dirty play. Laimbeer, the bruising enforcer of Detroit's bad boys, built his reputation on elbows, shoves, and hard fouls that left opponents bruised and frustrated. Against most players, it worked. Against Larry Bird, not so much. Their showdown in a 1985 regular season clash remains one of the most heated chapters in their rivalry. Laimbeer tried to impose his physical will, but Bird refused to back down. What followed was a battle of toughness, grit, and pride. Two players who hated losing and hated each other even more. And it all began with one cheap shot Bill Laimbeer would soon regret. Early in the game, as Larry Bird attacked the rim, Laimbeer threw a vicious elbow to Bird's face, knocking him flat on the floor. The arena went silent in shock. The referees let play continue. But Bird wasn't rattled. He simply picked himself up, wiped his face, and locked in with an icy glare from that moment. It was personal. Bird unleashed his fury with surgical precision, torching Laimbeer and the Pistons for the rest of the night. By the end, the stat sheet told the story. 42 points, 10 rebounds, and 7 assists. He buried jumpers in Laimbeer's face, drilled clutch threes, and made every possession feel like a calculated form of payback. And of course, Bird added his trademark trash talk to drive the dagger deeper. During a timeout, he reportedly turned to Laimbeer and warned, "You mess with me, you're going to pay." That night, Laimbeer learned the hard way. Cheap shots only fueled Larry Bird's fire. As Bird walked past the Pistons bench with his head high, it was clear the battle was over. The scoreboard told part of the story, but the look on Bill Laimbeer's face said the rest. Bird hadn't beaten him with fists or fouls. He humiliated him with pure skill, relentless grit, and a masterclass in basketball brilliance. But Laimbeer wasn't the only giant Bird humbled. Even Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, one of the greatest players in NBA history, found himself on the wrong side of Larry's competitive fire. By the time Bird entered the league, Kareem was already a legend. Multiple MVPs, championships, and a career filled with iconic battles against the best of the best. So when the young Celtic forward started making waves, Kareem wasn't ready to roll out the red carpet. Behind the scenes, he reportedly downplayed Bird's impact, suggesting the hype was bigger than the player. To him, Bird wasn't on the same pedestal. Not yet. Larry didn't waste his breath arguing. He didn't need to. Bird's response came on the court, with the ball in his hands. And soon, Kareem would find out just how wrong he was. The 1984 NBA Finals became Larry Bird's ultimate proving ground, a stage where he silenced every doubter, even Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. It was Celtics versus Lakers, the two giants of basketball colliding for supremacy. Kareem remained dominant, but Bird took his game to a level that demanded respect. Across the series, Bird was relentless. He averaged 27 points, 14 rebounds, and nearly 4 assists, showing not just scoring brilliance but all-around dominance. In Game 4, he put on a masterpiece, outworking everyone on the floor with ferocious rebounding and clutch scoring, leading Boston to a dramatic overtime win. Then came Game 7, the ultimate test. Bird delivered 20 points, 12 rebounds, and flawless execution when it mattered most, guiding the Celtics to the championship. On the other side, Kareem could only watch as the man he once doubted cemented his place among the all-time greats after the series. Even Kareem couldn't deny it. His tone shifted from skepticism to respect, as he admitted, "He's a competitor on a level I didn't expect." Larry Bird had forced one of basketball's greatest legends to change his mind. By letting his game do all the talking. By the end of the '84 finals, Bird hadn't just earned Kareem's respect. He had stamped his place among the greatest to ever play. The series showcased his toughness, his ability to shine under pressure, and his unique gift for silencing doubt when the moment demanded it. But Larry Bird's battles weren't always about quiet domination. Sometimes, they boiled over into all-out confrontations. One of the most infamous came against none other than Julius Dr. J. Irving. It was 1984, and the Celtics were squaring off with the Philadelphia 76ers in a heated regular season clash. Bird was locked in, not only scoring at will, but also unleashing his trademark trash talk, a mental weapon he had perfected. At one point, he reportedly told Irving, "You're washed up, Julius. You can't keep up with me anymore." If that wasn't enough, Bird kept the pressure on by backing up his words with buckets. Every jumper, every move to the rim, felt like a jab at Dr. J's pride. Bird wasn't just playing basketball that night. He was tearing at the legacy of one of the league's most respected superstars, and Julius Irving wasn't about to let it slide. Larry Bird was unstoppable that night. Bucket after bucket, he scored with ease, over Julius Irving, over double teams, over anyone the Sixers threw his way. By the end of the third quarter, Bird had already piled up 42 points, and every shot felt like salt in the wound. The tension kept building until finally, it snapped. Frustrated and humiliated, Julius Irving lost his cool. In the middle of a scuffle, he grabbed Bird by the neck, and suddenly fists were flying. Teammates from both sides rushed in as the two legends started swinging in one of the most infamous fights in NBA history. The arena was stunned. These weren't bench warmers or role players. This was Larry Bird and Dr. J, two of the biggest icons in basketball. Trading blows on national television, Bird never backed down. And even though the fight was broken up quickly, the damage was already done. Bird had won long before the punches, mentally breaking Irving while torching him on the scoreboard. The Celtics went on to an easy win that night, while Bird cemented his reputation as the ultimate trash-talking tactician, a man who could destroy opponents' confidence with both his words and his game. For Julius Irving, that fight with Bird became a rare blemish on an otherwise classy career, a moment of regret when his emotions got the better of him. But for Larry Bird, it was just another example of how he controlled every part of the battle. The skills, the scoreboard, and the mental edge. The same theme carried over into his legendary rivalry with Isaiah Thomas. Few matchups in NBA history burned as hot as Celtics versus Pistons. And at the center of it all stood Bird and Thomas, two fierce competitors who wanted nothing more than to break each other's will. The defining moment came during the 1987 Eastern Conference Finals. Bird was on another level, dominating the series with monster performances and carrying Boston through Detroit's bruising defense. Night after night, he rose above the physicality, keeping the Celtics in championship contention. But after one hard-fought loss, Isaiah's frustration boiled over. In a post-game interview that shook the sports world, he downplayed Bird's greatness with a statement that sparked instant controversy. If Larry Bird was black, he'd be just another good guy. The backlash was immediate. Fans, media, and players across the league erupted, and the comment followed Isaiah for years. What was meant as a dig at Bird ended up backfiring, adding fuel to a rivalry already defined by bad blood and battles for basketball supremacy. The backlash to Isaiah Thomas's comment was swift and unforgiving. Fans, analysts, and even fellow players criticized him for downplaying Larry Bird's greatness and disrespecting one of the game's most revered talents. Bird, however, never fired back publicly. He didn't need to. His response came where it mattered most. On the court, Game 5 of the series became Bird's answer. and it was nothing short of legendary. He erupted for 36 points, 12 rebounds, and 9 assists, leading the Celtics to a critical victory. Every rebound, every pinpoint pass, every clutch shot was a statement, louder than any words could ever be. Bird had turned criticism into fuel, and the Pistons had no answer. Faced with the fallout, Isaiah quickly backpedaled. He insisted his remarks were a joke taken out of context, later saying, "I meant no harm." Larry Bird is one of the best players ever, but the damage was done. Bird had already proven the truth. His greatness needed no defending. It transcended narratives, and while Isaiah's words became infamous, another Piston would soon make his own rookie mistake against Bird.